Eh bien voilà, mesdames, messieurs, bonjour, bienvenue sur l'ID Forum des mots. On est parti pour le thème suivant, heylogin, gestionnaire de mots de passe sans mot de passe maître. L'intervention va avoir lieu en anglais. C'est monsieur Dominique Schurman de la société heylogin qui va se charger de cette intervention. You have 50 minutes.
Yes.
Merci
thanks.
beaucoup.
Great to be here in Lille. First time in Lille, actually, for me. We are from Germany, so I will do this talk in English. Sorry for not speaking French. Yeah, heylogin. It's a password manager without a master password. But let's step one step back first. So if you look at the adoption of software as a service products inside companies, it's really rising. So in 2022, we already had 130 software as a service apps on average per company. And with each of these software as a service apps, obviously all the included employees need a username and password. So if you look at the adoption curve of password managers, in my personal opinion, we are just here. So password managers haven't yet reached the pragmatists and conservatives, but we are currently stepping over that chasm, right, over that gap. So what are password managers actually doing? So there's like three main functions of a password manager. First and foremost, password managers should generate unique passwords per website. They should store these passwords and then later use these passwords to log you into websites. So basically, it sounds pretty easy, right? The biggest issue with password managers is that you need to store them. So that means you also need to protect these passwords. And what most password managers are doing is encrypting all the existing passwords with another password, with the master password. And that master password needs to be long and complex because it's the only factor you need to have to decrypt all the other passwords. So it's the single point of failure, and it's really important to have a secure master password. So existing solutions are kind of a security and usability nightmare. If you enforce the use of a password manager onto your employees, 28% of your employees will choose a master password, which they already use on a website. So someone from accounting will probably use their Facebook password as a master password for their password manager, because they only have one password in their mind. So that's a really security nightmare here, and we got to feel that security nightmare when LastPass got breached in 2022. And these attackers were able to download all the encrypted vaults from LastPass and were now able to brute force a certain amount of master passwords. So that's a real issue on the security side. On the usability side, it's a nightmare for people to log in using a master password. It's not really easing the use of websites. So instead of typing a short password, you're now typing a long password. So it doesn't really help here. So what we do differently at heylogin, we don't have a master password. We use a security chip to do two-factor secure end-to-end encryption. And typically, we do that using the smartphone. Most of the employees today have a smartphone with a security chip that is already used for Google Wallet or Apple Pay. And we exactly use the same security chip to do the end-to-end encryption. And that security chip is locally unlocked using fingerprint, face unlock, or PIN, right? So that about security. And on the usability side, we do it a little bit differently. So typically, if you go to a website like LinkedIn, you need to type an email address and password. If you use a typical classical password manager, you get a drop-down here, you select your account, you type in your master password, you're in. With heylogin, it looks different. We overlay these login forms. So the, let's say, non-technical end user no longer sees any forms here. So they don't even try to log in using something they need to type. Instead, they just click on the name. Then they get a notification on their phone. They confirm using the second factor. The vault is unlocked. The password is used to log the user into that website. And that's pretty easy to use. So it's easier to use the password manager than logging in manually. And that's really important for the adoption inside companies. If you don't want to use the security chip inside smartphones, you can also use the FIDO2 security keys as a second factor, which are again protected using pins or fingerprints. You can also use smartwatches, which are connected to the phone to unlock the security chip inside the phone. You can also use Touch ID or Windows Hello to use the TPM inside your laptop. So either way, everything is two-factor secure by default. There is no way to access heylogin using just one factor. That's really important for us. And in the end, if you deploy that correctly, you save around 3 months per employee, 3 hours per month per employee. So it's really, really increasing productivity. And you can see that in our reviews on the different stores like App Store, Google Play Store, Chrome Web Store. People are pretty happy with heylogin. Again, it's really important to state this here again. There is no integration necessary with LinkedIn, right? It's a password manager. Our browser extension automatically detects these login forms. So either way you go, if you go to PayPal, heylogin pops up. If you go to Google, heylogin pops up. If you go to Microsoft, heylogin pops up. We always overlay these login forms. So that works with most of the websites. If there is some customization needed, we automatically get these, and we are doing automatic regression tests to fix it. So just, again, a bigger picture, looking at the logging solutions that are currently deployed in companies. So on one hand, you have the system solutions, like the Apple Keychain, Google Password Manager. These are B2C solutions, right? There is no central management here, no synchronization with Entra ID, etc., etc. So these are not company solutions. Then we have the single sign-on solutions, like Entra ID is the most well-known, but there's also like Okta, Duo Security, Beyond Identity, Hyper, and so on. These are pretty great, and they can be configured as a passwordless single sign-on. So everything you connect to your single sign-on will be passwordless. Like this, for example, is Okta Verify. You get a push notification, you confirm, you're logged in. Awesome. And then there is the password managers. Unfortunately, most password managers are still one factor based on a master password. So you don't get the same experience like you get with a single sign-on. And that, again, is where we put ourselves in. We are a password manager which gets you the single sign-on experience, but are technically still a password manager, right? So this is, for example, one password. You go to Microsoft, you click here, get a drop-down, select your account. Next, you enter your master password with heylogin. It feels like a single sign-on, but it's not technically. A second very important thing, in our experience, not all websites are connected to your single sign-on. It's actually even worse, like 50 to 70% of our websites are not connected to a single sign-on, and only 30 to 50% are connected. And that's, on one hand, it's sometimes not possible to connect these websites. I mean, you cannot connect LinkedIn to your single sign-on. You cannot connect some external supply chain portals to single sign-on, but also due to cost. Everything you want to have connected to your single sign-on costs more money. There is even a website about that. I didn't invent that. It's the sso.tax website, where you can see, OK, if I want to connect Figma to my single sign-on, it's a price increase of 275% per employee. So that's an issue. So in reality, most companies don't connect everything to their single sign-on. OK, then a second thing I want to talk here about is passkeys. Everyone is talking about passkeys. Passkeys will make passwords obsolete. Yes, that's the theory. I mean, the idea is to get rid of passwords, and then we deploy passkeys. Everything is awesome. The reality will be more like that. It will take some time, probably until I retire, that we still have some websites that use passwords. And the adoption of passkeys, it will take some time, right? And in my opinion, we need some kind of migration path from passwords to passkeys. So that's, again, where heylogin comes into play. On the left side, you see a Google account with a username password-based login. With heylogin, you no longer see any login forms, as I said. And then with passkeys, so a synchronized passkey stored inside heylogin, it looks pretty much the same. So for the end user, there's no usability difference between passwords and passkeys here. And that's the migration path we need to really get people from passwords to passkeys. And then, yeah, we have the typical functionality of a password manager inside heylogin. You can connect your Entra ID, your Google Workspace, whatever you like, to automate the on and offboarding of employees. Also, really important to state here again, the question I get the most is, what happens if I lose my phone, right? And the answer is a little bit longer. So first and foremost, it's pretty similar to what if I forget my master password. In a business setting, I contact my IT department, and they can disconnect my old phone, and then you can connect a new phone. Everything is re-encrypted to the new phone, and no data loss happened here. So that's pretty great. Alternatively, you can set up security keys as alternative login devices. So if my phone is unavailable, I can use my security key, or I can use my TPM inside my laptop. So for admins, we recommend to at least set up two security keys, for example, YubiKeys per admin, to really prevent these devastating situations where no admin is able to log into heylogin. That would be a problem, because we cannot help. Everything is end-to-end encrypted. So yeah, then we have some special features here. Data breach monitoring obviously is one of these. Most of our competitors have the same. You can set up a password policy. Every login is checked against that password policy. What we also do is we recommend for certain accounts to enable two-factor authentication, which is pretty easy to do with heylogin. And we also check against third-party APIs if there has been some password leak or data breach on a website. So yeah, that's from my side. That's it. We are a German company. We are, I would say, militantly European. Everything is stored inside data centers that are owned by European companies, so we don't use AWS or Google Cloud. Obviously GDPR compliant, ISO 27001 certified. We have 2 penetration tests. One will be published soon. Security white paper online, etc., etc. If you want to see a demo, we are right behind the demo here. We have the big LED panel there. So just come around and get your personal demo. Thanks.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur Schurman. Alors, notez bien effectivement le numéro du stand G215 si vous avez des questions.